Hi, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. I'm Jennifer, and I'm the marketing manager with Rocky Mountain Dog. Today, we're diving into a topic that doesn't get nearly enough attention: the challenge Black dogs and other shelter dogs face when it comes to adoption. I'm so excited to be sitting down with Laura from Barney's Furry Friends, which is an amazing organization that is helping dogs in need. We'll be chatting about why certain dogs, especially Black dogs, are often overlooked in shelters. We'll also be discussing the myths that still surround them and how we could all help make a difference. It's a super important and heartwarming conversation that you don't want to miss. Hopefully, you'll learn something and maybe you can find a way to get involved. So let's get started. So, we're here with Laura from Barney's Furry Friends. Laura, to start, can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Barney's Furry Friends, a little bit about your background, and all of that?
Certainly. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for having me and giving this platform to Barney's Furry Friends. We're very appreciative to talk about our amazing dogs. We came to be in 2023 as part of Pia, our director at the time, who had rescued her first dog named Cookie Dough straight out of the shelter in California. Our premise is we wanted to cause a small but impactful ripple effect of kindness, love, and care in the world of rescue dogs to enable to rescue, rehabilitate, and rehome them to a better life. In 23, we're able to rescue around 30 dogs, and 2024, we hit almost 130 dogs for the year. So this year, we are looking to keep it within those numbers, continue to do it ethically with, of course, the endless support from our volunteers, fosters, who are donating their time, their love, their care to the mission, and their funds as well, right? Because we're all volunteers. We don't have any secret money bags running the operation. I came to be involved with Barney's actually through Instagram online. We were looking for a dog to bring into our household, and we stumbled upon, at the time he was called Cal. He's now named Zephyr, our big, bold, and beautiful Doberman Belgian Malinois mix. And we adopted him from Barney's, and then I've stayed on from there just because I truly believe in the mission of the organization and how they go about.
That's so special. Recently offline, you were telling me about how Black dogs tend to stay in the foster system longer,
Yep.
and that they're just picked last. And this is starting to become a pretty big issue. Why do you think this is?
Yep. So this has been an issue that I was aware of even prior to running into Barney's. I think this issue has been ongoing with dogs for a very long time. Some of my suspected reasonings are towards our own biases as dog lovers or as just people, right? Because historically, I would remember when my grandfather, who used to teach mythology in college, would tell me stories about Greek mythology specifically. And he would talk about Cerberus, the three-headed dog of the underworld, who was a black dog. There's also the theory in college that I've learned around the idea of a metaphor for feeling sad and sadness that's also called the black dog, which I just thought, I'm like, that is just the worst PR campaign for that feeling. And just in many folklore stories that I'm sure we can all think about, this idea of darkness and the unknown is often represented as a shadowy figure or a pair of eyes piercing through the bushes. So automatically, our brains tend to go to not so pleasant places about black dogs specifically. And I also think there's the value of cuteness, right? Like when you see a white floofy dog running around, you're like, "Oh, thank you, Royale, for that branding." I know they have cats, but no idea. Meanwhile, a black dog just sitting in the corner and not well lit room and not exactly presenting the same way. I mean, not have the same appeal.
Yeah. So when people are coming to adopt a dog, is something that you discuss with them that you mention right away about Black dogs and how they get picked last, or is that something mentioned, or how do you guys go about with that with new families looking for dogs?
Yeah. When we get new families up for dogs, foster applications or adoption applications, we love to focus very much on setting up the dog for success, but also the family or the adopter in question. So we tend to look more around terms of fit of lifestyle, fit of experience, fit of what is your purpose for this dog, not so much focusing on the looks, right? Because oftentimes, again, we'll see a super cute Australian Shepherd and we think, great, I want that dog. I'm going to cuddle that dog in bed. As I'm sure Australian Shepherds, they're a very high prey drive, high energy dog that, love to run, love to be engaged. So we tend to focus a lot more on what are the needs of the family and how the dog would fit in. So it's not about just, oh, I know you like this, Yorkshire Terrier that we have here, but had be considered a black Doberman. So it's not quite that way, but we are very transparent that our black dogs do stay in the system longer. We have had some in our foster care since January of this year that are simply just not getting any application, any traction. Meanwhile, we'll have other dogs that will have 4 days from their transport date and they're adopted out. So the stats are there. Yeah. But we like to focus more in terms of our black dogs. It's not about, and any dog really, it's not about what they love. It's what are their needs? Where would they be a right fit? What do they bring to the table? What's their personality like? Do they get on well with kids? We have certain dogs that just love playing with kids, and we have others that just, for the smaller dogs, not always keen on kids. They can be a little nippy, a little high intensity in some regard. Yeah. So we tend to focus a lot more again on the fit, the dog, and also the person.
That makes sense, right? Because I'm assuming that's why a lot of dogs get surrendered is because somebody's just getting the dog because they think that's what they like. And then they realize that's maybe not the case. Do you ever have people that are like, oh, I do want a small dog, but they end up leaving with a big dog or vice versa? Is that common or?
Not in my recent experience. So the thing with size as well, right? Because you have big black dogs, you also have little black dogs, right? Black is the standard breed, or what they call the breed standard in many dog breeds, regardless of size. It's more about, for us, it's okay, what can you take on? How much space do you have? If some folks have strata obligations, right? Where it's very itemized of I can only grab or have a size dog of X amount of weight or height or what have you. There have been conversations with folks where they're like, you know what, I really want the Chihuahua, for example, right? We all know folks love Chihuahuas. They're super adorable. And they do sometimes realize, you know what, maybe a barky, loud, demanding Chihuahua, not that they all are, but often they are. Maybe that's not the one for me. And they have instead left with, we've been getting a lot of terrier mixes recently. And that are a little bit older, a little bit more. I just like to lay in the sunbeam. So folks do tend to be open-minded, I would say.
And then so back to the black dogs again. How do you educate the community just to help potential adopters understand and to move past any biases that they might have?
I always say the first thing is when you're looking for a dog, keep an open mind. Don't go in with a checklist like you're going to the grocery store of my dog must have this level of fur, this style of color, and this height, and I need to be able to do X, Y, Z. I think it's really focused on what is the purpose? Like, what are you getting this dog for? Do you want a running mate? Do you want someone to watch reality TV with? And then really just considering your resources. So what I mean by that is focusing on how much time do you have for this dog? How much actual financials do you have set aside? Because as a fellow dog owner, sure, it can get pretty costly. The food, the boarding, potential training, their equipment, right? So I think it's more about keeping that in your top three and then being like, okay, what size can I handle? Meaning, am I able to even walk a big dog? Am I able to walk a little dog? And as you see, I'm nowhere near this talking about, oh, my dog must be X color or must look like this.
Right.
I'm coming from a place of what are my needs and what are the needs of the dog, and then marrying the two.
Are there any kind of campaigns that you guys use and that work well for black dogs? Or I guess you're just putting them all together and
So we do, as in, we want to give a fair chance to all of our dogs, right? We don't want to have our own bias and be like, no, you must take this dog. Yeah. I found what's very successful, specifically relating to bigger and black dogs, is having them live at adoption events. So folks that are interested in getting a dog, being able to come in, like we have our Great Dane Coco right now. She's a Great Dane lab mix. She's just shy of 1 year old. I think she's hit her 1 year mark. Gorgeous girl, but when you see her in photos, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, that is a giant dog. I don't know what her deal is. Yeah. But when you get to interact with her one or with kids, she loves children. She loves playing. She's more lab and activities than a Great Dane, but yeah, just very personable as much of a dog can be. But and then another thing is doing videos instead of photos for black dogs has been quite beneficial because again, you're able to see that dog present itself for who they are. Like, are they playful? Do they love to run? Do they like to engage with other dogs? Do they not? How do they act with their foster, with their person, with children? Meanwhile, in the photo, generally black dogs, you tend to just see eyes and a bunch of fur around them. And you're like, what size is this dog? How does it fit in my lifestyle? Will it fit in my car? I know these are things to consider. You're literally bringing a being into your home. So you have to think of all that. And I think another big one, and which is what we've done with you guys, and again, we can't say how thankful enough we are for this, is showcasing the black dogs, like putting a spotlight on them to not just be like, here's all the black dogs. It's here's this one specific dog, like you guys did. Brandy, who actually, as I had mentioned to you offline, has a meet and greet this very weekend, which is the day of recording this. So we're very excited about that. And if someone who did see her on the website, so, oh, here's her bio. Okay, this is what she's like. I could see that working for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, do you feel the bias applies across all breeds, or do you think it's more so with the larger dogs?
I think it's more so with the larger dogs. And that again just comes from seeing how quickly some of our smaller dogs get adopted and large. But when you get into the size question, there's a lot more to do than just how they look. Like we're talking about folks being able to bring into their home a certain dog size because of constraints beyond their own abilities. And I think it's also called the flu factor. So if you have a floofy little Maltese Terrier mix that's all black, people are going to be more gravitating towards that than the sweet, loud. Again, that's just, and that's totally fine. Get the dog that works for you, but get it for the right reasons, as in that you'll be successful in, not just because you think they're cute. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're gonna switch gears just a little bit here, but are you guys at BFF currently looking for fosters?
Yes. Quickly, yes. The short
Yeah.
answer is yes. The work that we do, because it is right all volunteer run from our end, but also the
And
fosters, the volunteers.
where do
It's
your
our conversation.
fosters need to be based?
Yeah. So our fosters, ideally, we want them in the mainland in DC. So anywhere from Vancouver, Burnaby, Coquitlam, New Westminster, Surrey, Maple Ridge, Port Coquitlam, Port Moody. Making sure I named all the different.
But then, so that doesn't necessarily mean to adopt that you have to live in that area. Could you live anywhere and be able to adopt one of your dogs?
So far, we adopt in the province of BC. So we have had our dogs go from everywhere. I say from Abbotsford to Victoria. 'Cause those are the two that come eight to that's perfect in my mind. So we have definitely adopted out to the island, especially our bigger dogs tend to do well there just because of space.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're definitely open to that. We're also, I know it's going to be off, but we're also open to fosters in California because, as I mentioned, a lot of our dogs that we pull from the shelters or from the streets are actually based in California. So those would be our two primary markets, if you will, for fosters.
Yeah. No, that's huge. What qualities do you guys look for? What do you think makes a good foster for a dog?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say good communication is key. So we're a very active rescue. We have group chat on WhatsApp that's very active. We have about 60 fosters on there that we're constantly discussing either about the dogs, how to care for the dog, how to reach out. I think someone who is empathetic as rescue dogs can be come with their own set of challenges, come with their own background baggage, however you want to see this. The other one I would say would be patience and flexibility coming from the foster. So whether it's your first time or your 50th time fostering a dog, each dog is different, right? We talked about personality earlier, their needs, all that. And the other thing I would say is the willingness to learn and resiliency. So going again on each dog is different. Each experience will be different. Some dogs get adopted out in 4 days. Some dogs get adopted out. We've had some be there for 2 to 4 months. And again, you're bringing a new being into your life. So it's like, we want you to commit to this dog in the way of, okay, this dog is now to my home. I'm caring for it.
Mhm.
I get to be a part of an awesome story. But it is still a time commitment, and we don't shy away from saying that. It will bring another, if you got kids and you got already so many activities, it's going to be another thing on your to-do list on the day.
Yeah. Do you notice that there's a time of the year where you need more help and hands-on or stuff like that? Or is it just it's crazy throughout every year or entire year? Or is there really certain times of the years where you're finding that it's you guys need more hands on deck?
Yeah, I mean, it's always like the dog's situation in terms of just the overpopulation has been an ongoing issue years now. However, it is noticeable in terms of just the involvement and needing more hands on deck would definitely be in times of summers and in times of holidays and such. Because another thing that we talk about is bridge fostering, right? So let's say even though our dog has a foster, they'd be like, oh, hey, we're going on vacation or we're going on this. And just having someone to step in for 3 days a week. And during the summertime, we've noticed that that's time which folks are on vacation and that makes sense. and same around particular holidays of the year in the wintertime. So I would say that would be a time where we're really like struggling to get more fosters, get more folks involved, getting more boots on the ground, as they say. But we welcome the help anytime, any day. We're definitely open to all sorts of creative ideas and suggestions and ways to keep the mission alive.
Is there something that you wish more people knew about fostering dogs and the impact that it has?
And I think you and I talked about this briefly online as well, is a lot of folks are not aware just how critical the situation is in shelters in terms of the overpopulation. I know we sometimes think, oh, okay, there's a couple of dogs that they find strays or owner surrenders and things. They'll find their home because they're a purebred or they're XYZ and they'll get adopted right away. The reality is, especially when we get our dogs from in California, kennels that are destined for one dog can have upwards of two, if not three dogs in the same one, because there's simply far too many dogs coming in to the shelter and not enough making it out. And when I say about making it out, I don't just mean getting adopted or rescued. I also mean euthanasia, which is unfortunately part of what is being done because there's just too many dogs and not enough people hunting for them.
Yeah, and I know, like, when we were talking, you had mentioned that this is all public information and it's out there.
Mhm.
I think it's we hear about these things, but I don't think we actually fully understand these things. So could you explain that a little bit more about where the dogs are coming from? Like how you're saying June 21st, you guys have more dogs coming in. So
Yeah,
maybe just tell about like where they're coming from, what their situation is like right now, and
sure.
why it's super crucial.
So that is correct. Our next, though, we do monthly transports of dogs that we bring in primarily from California with some of our great partners there. We rescue from different shelters, different IKEA shelters, Riverside, Siaka, Downey, Baldwin Park, that again have been, a lot of them have been long timers in the dogs in the shelter, meaning upwards some of 100 or 200 days, with meaning no applications, no interest, or have been possibly returned because folks have just realized it's not a good fit. And that is fine. I don't blame someone saying, hey, you know what, this is just not the right dog for me. But then I do think an education piece needs to be added on for then the person to really like, okay, what am I looking for in a dog, and keeping that open mind. Some folks have said theories about how during COVID, when everyone was at home, everybody was getting dogs because they're like, I want to have a dog in my life. I do leave the house and walk the dog. And now that some folks are going back to work or they've had to change where they live because they're no longer remote, and household changes, what have you. So some of these dogs are potentially being returned to the system because you have anything. You have dogs that are 3 months old upwards to 10 years old. So there's not one criteria that's causing this overpopulation. It's definitely a multifaceted issue. Funding is another big one. I know recently in California, quite a few shelters had gone out to protest because their government there is planning another very serious cut to funding. I don't know the exact figure because I'm not involved in their local, but people just may not be aware of. And they're like, it's fine, but it's really not. And one of the most challenging things in rescue, I would say, is thinking about the dogs that we're not able to bring or we're not able to rescue because of we need more fosters, we were talking about earlier. And we need more folks to do something as however they can get involved, whether that's volunteering their time, volunteering their photography, volunteering, spreading the word, sharing our posts, right? There's so many things that folks can do that take such little time or a little investment would have such a huge return.
What else can you tell us about Barney's? What kind of other information do you want to spread? Is there anything that you want people to know about? Is there anything big and exciting coming up for you guys? Just what's going on in the world of BFF?
The world of BFF is going on every day now. And if I've done a line about, I'm always looking at my phone. So we do have monthly events that we run, adoption events. We're very grateful that Bosley's out in Port Oakland here in BC have always generously given us the space to do that. We also have coming up on June 14th an event with Barks and Brews, which is also very exciting. It's the first time I'm working with them. We are right now primarily focusing on getting our next dogs for June 21st, which is also very exciting. It's an exciting process, right? Because we're like, oh, we get to save some dogs, but excitement is, I wish we could save more. So we're definitely very wanting and looking for fosters at this stage. So if you've ever thought about doing it, if you've ever said, hey, I wanted to help, I want to have a dog, but I don't know where to start, feel free to reach out to us. We're on Instagram at Barney's Furry Friends, as well as a website. Send us a note, send us a message, and we'll be happy to chat with anyone. Even if you're like, just, hey, I want to do this, but these are my like concerns or these are my questions, like we welcome that conversation. Barney's is always looking for more collaborations. We work with you guys on this, and we're very thankful for the platform. And you guys also have given us a very generous donation in terms of your awesome gear that our dogs are wearing. We've sent you photos. I know we talked about Brandy, but there's going to be more with the new dogs coming on. So I would say, yeah, just get involved, whether it's with Barney's, whether it's with other rescues where you happen to be listening from. And think about what creativity, what you can bring to the table, and just ask. I'm sure many rescues would just love to get more people involved, get the word out there, advocate. We always say advocate for the dogs, advocate in any way that you are able to.
Yeah, that's huge. How many dogs did you say that you guys were able to bring each time that you do the transfer?
We try to do, because when we do this, when I say we do this ethically, we mean we don't want to take on more dogs than one we have fosters for, and that we're also able to financially, right? Because we think of all the medicals and all the checks veterinary. We do anywhere between 12 to 20 a month. We did have one transfer where we went up to 25, and that was a bit challenging, I'm not going to lie. Just once you start really looking to what the dog needs, you're like, okay, medical x-rays,
Yeah.
so forth.
You still need fosters for the ones that are coming
Oh,
up?
yes, absolutely. I would always say, check us on Instagram. Pia, our director, posts there very regularly in terms of when we'll see a dog that we want to pull. The first thing we always say is, okay, who's going to foster this dog? That's always key. That's always number one. We want to help this dog. We provide everything, the food, the care, the veterinary. We work with 2 different vets here locally. So it's all paid for. All we ask is an investment of time, love, and care, which I think we can all find within ourselves to give. And it could be anywhere from 4 days to a month, and such an investment on 10 to 15 years for that dog, right? Because it's their life. If you want to talk about be a hero or save a life, it's foster a dog. It's one of the easiest ways, I would say.
That's amazing. Was there anything else that you wanted to pass on or say to our viewers or anything? And then also the best way for everybody to get a hold of you guys.
Yes. I want to say to our viewers, the folks that have supported us from pretty much day one, is we're very thankful. We are not able to do this work without the many dog lovers out there who support us either by sharing a post or just tagging us and, hey, this dog needs help. Can you guys help? So we're always very appreciative to be on folks' minds. Again, reach out to us on Instagram at Barney's Furry Friends or on our website, which is barneysfurryfriends.com. You need to support our mission, which is to rescue, rehabilitate, and rehome these dogs. We'd be so very thankful.
I know we will definitely be doing some more segments along the way. I'll be there in about and there's
Funny.
I can't wait to see all the dogs and play with them at the event. Do you want to briefly talk about that event and what kind of things go on during those events at Bosley's and what people can expect? And also, if they're there and fall in love with a dog, can they adopt on the spot? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So our events that are run through Bosley's, like the June 28th, are generally a 2-hour event between 12 and 2, where we bring out a few of our dogs. And I say a few because we're also mindful, again, of the setting up for success. So is this environment with so many people and other dogs the right spot for the dog? Because as we know, different dogs, different personalities. So some may not necessarily enjoy being around other dogs. So then we do private meet and greets for that as well. So if there's a dog that you truly have your heart set on, or you've seen and you're like, you know what, this is my soul dog, again, send us a line and we'll be happy to arrange something more privately. We do not usually do adoptions on the spot because we like to, again, be very mindful of having that conversation in terms of, is this the right fit? It all comes down to that in the end. So we do have an application on our website at barneysfurryfriends.com for both adopters and fosters that we will lead people to do. And then from there, we'll have a phone call. If all sounds good, we move on to the potential adopter meeting with the foster and the dog. If you have another dog, there's a lengthier process to just make sure that introduce the dogs neutrally, see how they go on about because we don't want to have any mismatches there. And yeah, our events are great and we always have a good turnout for them. Everybody loves puppies, as they say. And I use that term for all dogs, not just young ones. And we do bring, exactly. So we bring our smalls, we bring our bigs. We try to bring good, wholesome representation of the different dogs that we have. Folks, especially folks that have kids, the kids come in and the excitement's always on 10 out of 10, if not higher. And just folks coming into the store and they're like, oh, okay, hold on. I mean, I have a dog, but I'm potentially looking for a friend for that dog. And rescuing is, I think, quite important. If there's amazing, great dogs out there, that the rescue dog is not necessarily a dog that has nothing left to give. I think that's another big misconception. And rescue dogs are not bad. There's not, this notion that a rescue dog is broken or anything like that's a whole other topic. I think we can do a whole video on that. But
Go say it's clear next time.
yeah, exactly. So people think, oh, there's no young dogs at the shelter. As we know, that is completely false. I sent you a video the other day about the 10-month-old that we just pulled, the boxer mix. And there's dogs of all sizes, all life stages. And I think your new best friend is out there somewhere. And I'm talking to you, Jennifer, specifically. I know we jokes about that.
Well, I know when I'm there, I'll be like, oh, can be a double.
Oh yeah, that's just there. That's a great and enthusiastic that I'm going to come in and be, no, we'll be like, well, that's what we're doing with this stuff now. But no, it's very important because we want to set up for success. We don't want the adopter or the future family to be disappointed. We try to spare the heartache and have it be a lifelong commitment because it is a lifelong commitment. 10 years for a dog, like that's their entire life. And it may impact our day to day, but it impacts their entire lifetime.
Yeah.
That's how life is. Yeah.
Wonderful. And so right now we do have Brandy as our spotlight rescue of the month. She is having her meet and greet this weekend though. So fingers crossed that she's going to find her forever home. So if she does, then we're going to choose another one from your rescue.
Oh yes,
for y'all
lots of
let us know
amazing.
about. And then we can do a whole little segment on them and talk about the dog that you guys will choose next. And we look forward to it.
So do we. So do we. We have lots of amazing boys and girls looking for their forever homes, who I think they just deserve a chance to be seen for who they are. And I definitely believe that they'll be real heart stealers.
Thank you again for meeting today.
Thank you for
I
having me.
look forward to coming out in person and just learning more about your guys' organization and meeting the dogs and all the things.
Likewise, thank you again to Rocky Mountain Dog for giving us this platform, giving us this opportunity, and being an ally in terms of rescue dogs. I know it is a part of you guys' mission to highlight different rescues and also to support them in many different ways, including with donations. So we're extremely grateful for partnership and the opportunity.